It also retains water, fascia. That's how it
fascia, okay.
Yeah, it's mainly made of water. That's how it stays lubricant. But how does it retain water? It's not because I drank 2 liters of water. That's great. Drink, guys. You should drink. But it retains water through movement. So if you drink and you sit all day, you go around 10 times to the bathroom. But if you drink and you move all day, maybe you would hit the bathroom once or twice. It's connected to the amount of movement you do.
Hello and welcome. Today I'm here with Timea and Elsa.
Hi, guys.
Elsa is physiotherapist.
Yes.
Osteopath?
Not exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, I did my master's in osteopathic manual therapy, but it doesn't mean that I'm fully certified as an osteopath.
Okay, we'll get into that. And this is what we will be talking about because osteopathy is very intriguing and very interesting field that I don't think it's very well known.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And we'll see what you have to share.
Awesome.
Okay. So we'll just start as usually with your background, how you got into it. Was it something there's probably not many 6-year-old girls who will say, I'll be an osteopath, right?
Yeah.
So how you got into it and what led you there?
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you at first how I got into physio and then how I ended up with the osteopathic field in mind. I wanted to do business at first because, as a little girl, you watch those movies and you see these independent women, right? Going into their fancy cars, going into work at like 10 a.m. with their Louis Vuitton and high heels and whatever.
Like Devil Wears Prada? Stuff like that?
Yeah. Something like that. So I wanted to be that, and everybody would go into business and be that in the movies. So I thought, maybe if I do business, I'll be that girl one day. Obviously, that was not true. So by the time I got to grade 10, I think, in school, they used to bring people to talk about their field, whether they're lawyers or, business guys or whatever. And there was with this lawyer who really loved what they did. And so I switched everything and now I wanted to become a lawyer. Obviously, it wasn't me. And I had always had a passion to help people, especially from a medical field. But I didn't want to go and study for 15 years. Right, graduate at 30 because I want to have family and kids hopefully one day. So, but I didn't want to study that much.
Okay, so you saw a way of medicine wasn't for you because you wanted to have a life as well.
Exactly,
okay.
And if you compare, you can't really have a life while you're studying med. I mean, it could work, but it's really tough.
Yeah, there's very few people who can manage that.
Exactly. Yeah. So. I just focused on business. And then my mom one day, she's like, Elsa, why don't you do physio? I mean, my cousin did physio and she's really successful. And she actually worked in Abu Dhabi. And maybe you should check that out. And I was like, Mom, I don't want to do that. What is physio? Anyways, I had no idea what physio was at first. But then I watched a movie. I forgot its name, but it was about a physical therapist who manages to help a well-known basketball player. And I was like, oh, wow, it's an interesting field. Let's check it out. I started doing my own research and talking to some people like physios. Some of them told me don't do it. Other people encouraged me. And I contacted my mom's cousin and she was like, yeah, go for it. It's a really nice field.
What was the reason why they didn't recommended it? The people who didn't recommend it, was their reasoning? Well,
they told me that as a return on investment, it's not really that profitable. That was the reason. And they told me that it's gonna be really hard because you're a girl, and I was like, I hate that when people just find a field and they're like want to put sexism into it. Like, no, if I'm a girl doesn't mean I can't do that. There's techniques for that,
I don't know the statistics, but most physio I know personally are girls.
Girls, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was weird, right? So I wasn't convinced, obviously. And then I shadowed. I went to a shadowing class in the university where I studied. I was that skeptical about going in, and then I did a 3-weekend workshop with a physical therapist as well, and I ended up loving it. But I still had my doubts, so I went in and I was like, I will do 1 semester. If I don't like it, I'll just drop it and move on to something else. And when I did, I really fell in love with it, and it really became my passion, and I went for it. For the osteo part, on my second year, I think, we had a course, and the professor in that course was a physio, but he did a DO in France. And he made me fall in love with how osteo think, because they think differently than physio. They think on a broader aspect. They link the whole body together, trying to find the main primary lesion, and they go from that, right?
I just want to go back into what you said, like about the France.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were studying all of this in French language, right?
No, I studied my bachelor, like physio, I studied it in English. But he did his DO in France.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, yeah, he made me fall in love with that concept. And ever since, it's like he became my role model. He was someone I looked up to. And so I worked harder on myself, trying to make myself better. And that's when I really went into that field. But in Lebanon, we didn't have osteo. So I didn't get the chance to actually study it. But then there was the master's, which I did, and really helped grasp the concept even more. So
this was this one professor?
One professor, introduced me to this world.
So he introduced you to the world, but it wasn't an option for you to study it?
No, at that time.
Okay.
Because I was doing physio and there wasn't osteo. And besides, I wouldn't change me doing physio, because in my opinion, the best approach to anything is not only from one perspective, it's from a different angle. And so if I have the chance to study MD as well, I would do it. So it's, so combining traditional medicine with osteo and physio, that would be the perfect mix. I know you're looking at me like, what is she talking about? Is she crazy? But trust me, I would do it. If I had the means and the time, I would definitely do it.
But you can still do it, right?
I mean, I could, but who would want to spend their entire lifetime studying? Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you got into this osteo field?
Yeah. I took a glimpse of it, because in my master's, obviously, it was 1.5 years. If you want to do a deal, it's from a physio background, it could take you 3 to 4 years. Mm-hmm. So I only have a slight idea on everything, but since I love it and I'm a kind of a nerd, so I do my own research and get to know more.
Yeah, so it's possible to self-educate yourself in this?
I mean, as information and the way you analyze things, yes, but to be able to practically incorporate that, it's going to be really tough if you don't have the right structure or the entire, because there's a certain osteopathic diagnosis that you need to do, which you need to learn how to do it. Mm-hmm. And you can only learn that through specific education.
Okay. Because when Amy was here and she was talking about craniosacral therapy, that's practically impossible to get better at without the guidance one-on-one, because it's about how you feel it, what you feel, and you always need that feedback of somebody who already knows what they are talking about.
True. Because in osteopathy, it's very delicate. Everything that you do relies on these two hands. These two hands are your eyes. Okay.
So tell us now somehow, as simple as possible.
Okay.
What is osteopathy? What is it dealing with, and how is it different from physio?
Okay. Well, it's not that different from physical therapy because at the end of the day, physio, chiro, osteo, they're all manual therapy, right? They fall under the scope of manual therapy. But as a concept, in physio, they don't really focus on teaching you how to look at the entire body and connect your thoughts around it. Let's say someone comes with you for neck pain. As a physical therapist, the first thing you would do is you will look at their neck and test it out and go from there. But as an osteopath, you would screen the whole entire body and you would find different lesions, different malfunctions, and you would analyze in your head which one would have been probably before the other until you find the primary lesion that induced all of the other and caused this neck pain.
Like the root cause.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So it could be an ankle sprain that they had when they were 6, but now after 30 years they have neck pain. But the body adapted after the ankle sprain in a way where it made their left neck more prone to injuries that caused them this. So the osteopath would go back in time to readjust, if you want, everything in order for them to stop having this pain.
And how is this kind of analysis or whatever you call it?
That's what you learn.
Yeah, I know. the reading of the body, how is it done? Is it by making them move and you observe how they move?
Of course. There are a lot of tests that it is. We have manual tests. And mainly in osteo, I don't have a really broad idea, but what I took in my master's, it wasn't more on like movement assessment as much as on manual assessment.
Okay, so
it was more manual.
Okay, so manual assessment is prevalent there more. Like
more dominant.
More dominant there.
But there are, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's say somebody comes to you with a neck pain.
Yeah.
What do you do? Like you kind of like...
Me personally? What I do?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if they come with neck pain, obviously the first thing that you would want to ask them, it's what's your main complaint? I mean, they could have a neck pain, but they're not bothered by the neck, they're bothered by the headaches caused by their neck pain, right? Mm-hmm. So you would try and define the main chief complaint of them. You would go through history, how did it happen, stuff like that. And me personally, I would go back in time and I would ask them if you could remember all of the previous injuries that you had. What's your first memory? Let's say when you were 4 years old. And, I would go back to that point in their life. And obviously I would do some special tests. I would check their movement, functional testing, and then I would move on to palpation and manual.
So let's say they will tell you that when they were 5-year-old, they fell off the bike and dislocated ankle. Okay. Let's say, okay? So at that moment, you focus...
Ankle dislocate, okay. Sublux, okay. Whatever.
Just an example,
Whatever.
yeah?
Okay, I'm just trying to... Okay.
And when you're going... Okay, so you got to this point, yeah? And you're like, okay, well, now you're trying to like see if that could connect to the neck through... testing that ankle, if it is causing something else? Like you stick into that one thing and then you work it from there, or?
No, because one, I don't have the expertise to try and find the primary lesion from the first session.
Okay.
I'm being really honest with you here. Because I'm still young and I have so much to learn.
Yeah, sure.
But what I do is, as I go along, I would fix everything in my path. Because, pain moves. And let's say you have a patient who comes in with neck pain, left neck pain, and you treat them. But the next session they would come and they would tell you, my neck feels better, but my upper back is stiff. So their pain moved, which makes you think that the problem was not the neck. Now the problem is in the back. So we'd fix the back and then they would tell you my lower left back is hurting me. So we'd go and treat that. So the body will guide you. But if you want to be faster and just cut through it. You just have to be knowledgeable and do the specific testing and try to find the root cause as much as possible.
So theoretically,
Yeah.
with a lot of expertise and experience, you can skip all these steps where it's
You don't skip them, but you just learn how to do them fast and how to test for them.
Okay, so you kind of, I mean, not skipping, like not paying attention, but skipping in a meaning like, okay, you see its neck, and then within one session, you test something. Okay, it's going here, it's going here, it's going here. And then within 1 or 2 sessions, they will find out that it's coming from that ankle sprain, let's say.
Let me tell you something. The body is divided into stacks. You have the head, you have the thorax, you have the pelvis, you have the knees. You have something called kinetic chain, which is the movement chain. You're familiar with it, I'm pretty sure. So the ankles are mobile. The knees are stabilizers. So you have the joint on the ankle, which is mobility, and then you have the knee stability, and then you have the hip, which is mobility, but you have the pelvis, which is stability, right? So you go like this. It's mobility, stability, mobility, stability. So anything that puts any mobility limitation will affect the stability of the joint that is under and above it.
Up or down the chain.
So if someone comes to me with neck pain, I would look at their shoulders, obviously, and their thoracic spine, their lumbar, so their lower back, and their pelvis. And I would see how they're standing, how do they walk, because any rotation or any deviation in the feet, it's going to affect everything up. And any deviation in your jaw, let's say, it's going to affect everything going down.
Deviation in the jaw?
Yeah. Sometimes when you open your mouth...
That happens.
Of course, most of us, due to stresses and stuff, we build tension in our muscles, and some muscles we use them more, so we would build more tension in that, which could affect the muscle of the jaw.
So I don't want to make fun of it now, but it's like chewing one side more can cause you a neck pain, theoretically.
Yes, for sure.
Oh shit.
And headaches, and with severe cases, maybe dizziness. Funny story, this professor that I told you about, I took an elective course with him.
What is that?
An elective course, which is an added course that you take.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't a major course.
Okay, so like you chose to.
Yeah, I chose to. It was called differential diagnosis, which means that in every single case, you have the main diagnosis and you have a differential diagnosis, because you see a lot of diseases or injuries have the same symptoms with one thing that is different. So in order for you to really identify that, you have to know the differential diagnosis. For example, in headaches, it could be from your muscles, but it also could be from something going on inside the brain, like a hemorrhage or something like that.
Yeah, it's not a headache is always caused by the same thing.
Or high blood pressure. So you have to have this differential, which is the different diagnosis. And once you eliminate that, you go and do your job as a physio.
Yeah, simple as that,
Yeah. So he was telling us the story where there's this guy, he was getting treated in the US for elbow pain. All right. And then he did a lot of sessions and physio, and then he came to Lebanon, but he still had that elbow and wrist pain. So he saw my professor, and they did a few sessions and everything was normal, but he still had one pain here. It was very localized in his wrist. And then he asked him one day, because he was really frustrated because he had done everything and everything seems normal. And then he started asking him about his daily activities. And apparently this guy would, while he's brushing his teeth, he would always he would put his hand on the sink and he would always lean onto this side every single time he brushes his teeth. So imagine on the accumulation of, let's say, 20 years, this guy does this.
Yeah, 10 minutes a day.
10 minutes a day in the morning, and of course it's gonna cause. He stopped doing that. His pain went away. So sometimes all you have to do is just think outside the box. That's really osteopathy. It's just think outside the box, and there's the solution.
So I would, at least now I'm getting a little bit of a hint of how you guys approach it and how it works. So it's a lot more, at least seems to me a lot more about that human daily life connection with the patient, like understanding everything underlying from daily routine, like brushing the teeth, to sport history and all the injuries that could happen, or let's say chronic problems of overuse because of certain sport discipline, compared to maybe just looking at, okay, this is the pain spot. They came with the pain. I will massage the neck and it will go away.
Yeah. But that's not all we do in physio.
Yeah. I simplified it.
Yeah, but in osteo, it's more of a broader, different view. That's all.
Why? This is a little bit random, but why it's called osteopathy? Because when I always thought, to this moment, that osteo has something to do with bones.
It is. Osteo, it means bones.
Okay, well, so I'm not that off.
No.
Okay, so why osteopathy?
No. Well, do you know how it was founded, osteopathy?
No. But you know, so
I'll let you know how it was founded. You have this doctor. His name was Dr. Andrew Taylor Still. Andrew Taylor Still. He's American. And his father was a physician, right? And he studied medicine, traditional medicine, but he never really liked it. He found it boring, and he found it more harmful than beneficial, actually. And then he lost his 3 children during the plague pandemic.
When was this?
It was in the 1800s.
Okay. No, just so we have some kind of idea.
It was a really long time ago.
So not the latest plague.
No, no, not COVID. So after he lost his children, he started to think on his own, because obviously traditional medicine for him failed at saving his children. So how can we prevent that? And he developed his ideas, and he started doing them on patients. And he found out that even if you readjust everything in the body manually, you can fight some diseases. And he founded a law that he called the law of the artery, which means that if anything in your body doesn't compromise your arterial system, so meaning the blood, the flow of the blood, everything in your body would be in harmony. And how does that apply? If you have muscle tightness, okay, this will compress what?
Arteries and
veins, which will affect blood flow, which potentially could cause harm because tissues would be suffering. They wouldn't be getting oxygen nor the nutrients. So that would put you at risk of disease because the harmony in your body is off, which we call homeostasis.
And do you know why he focused on the arteries specifically?
I don't have the full philosophy behind it or the history, but it was his studies that led him, I think, to
because when you
other people focused more on the nerve, which is the law of the nerve, which when you have a disc, let's say, you have a vertebral level, which is stuck, let's say, in a certain position, this will affect the nerve roots coming out of this vertebra.
Like slip the disc.
Exactly. Yeah. So you would have pain. If you readjust this, the compression would be no more and you wouldn't have pain anymore. So he founded the law of the vein, of the nerve.
Okay.
So it really depends on how they looked at it.
He wasn't only looking at the arteries, but he also...
No, he looked at the entire body.
And then he created all his laws. Yeah.
It wasn't him who created the law of the nerve, but yeah, he created the law of the artery because any dysfunction will affect the blood flow.
That's why I'm just curious about why arteries specifically.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing against it, right? Like, of course, it's very important to have. The most important is to have the blood flow correctly, right?
Yeah.
Also, when you think about some chronic disease like diabetes, right? Mm-hmm. When you have diabetic leg, that's basically just messed up not just,
Yeah.
but it's a messed up flow,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
which leads to necrotic leg.
And the time how they were scanning it, like this is
How did they scan it?
Yeah.
Yeah, at that time, it was manually.
okay. So they felt the blood flow.
I'm not
arteries,
exactly.
or you don't
I'm
know?
not exactly.
No, because I'm just thinking.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
how-
I'm not
because
exactly
you can
sure.
feel the nerve by the cranial.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
feel the nerve.
But I think maybe they used like the
Big arteries.
yeah, for sure. But they maybe used the heartbeats
X-ray?
and blood pressure and stuff like that to check. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah.
because I'm thinking about now when you have this idea of, you know, the blood flow needs to be evenly balanced
Yeah.
and distributed.
Yeah.
It's very similar to what Eastern let's say methodologies
Yeah.
and philosophies were always going after. They didn't call it maybe
Meridians.
arterial balance, but it's all meridians. The chi energy needs to be flowing through
Yes.
the body evenly. And so basically it's the same thing, right?
Yeah, same.
Same concept.
Yeah. So you asked me osteopathy. Where does it come from?
Yeah, why bones? Why it's named
well,
after bones?
Osteon means in Greek it means bones, and pathein, which was osteon pathein in Greek, it means to suffer. So mainly osteopathy, it's the suffering of the bones. In that sense, where if you have a lesion on your bone, whether you're not the bone in itself, but you know the joint, if it's stuck in a certain way, your joint would be suffering, and thus
Alright.
everything around it would be suffering.
But also actual bones and joints
Can suffer.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they have their own blood flow, right?
True.
That it's not a passive
Yeah.
you know, metal
Yeah.
stick in there. Like
Yeah.
it actually has its own cells, life, and so
Yes.
on. Even the blood flow is way lower than the
Yeah.
let's say muscles,
Yeah.
right, or internal organs, but
Yeah.
there's still flow. So
Of course.
it makes sense.
Yeah. So that's how they. So basically, the meaning of it is the utilization of the bones to retreat the body, right?
So basically, cleaning off any blockages
Yeah,
with the flow, also
Yeah.
regarding the bones.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's the philosophy of Dr. Andrew Taylor. Still, that the body has the power to heal itself, but what you're doing is just giving it the tools, the correct tools to refine that balance.
This is what I very much vibe with as well, because that's what we are trying to do through the training, right? Especially when we have some more kind of corrective approach, when it's not only about getting people stronger, faster, fitter,
Yeah.
but it's also about
Finding the
fixing
balance.
some shit
Yeah.
through the movement. It's exactly the same thing that but you don't do it for them. You don't do it by coming and putting the joint into the place, but you actually doing it I do it through
Yeah.
finding the right balance
Yeah.
in muscle tension,
Yeah.
so it all falls
Yeah.
into its place.
Yeah. Pretty
you-
much that. Yeah.
And you guys do it through
Manually.
understanding the
Yeah.
system as a full. And do you have some other examples like this similar to the wrist one?
I will tell you about my own experience. I had a patient once who came in. I had seen her before for lower back pain, and I worked on the whole kinetic chain of the back, and she felt much better in the same session. And we became friends, But then COVID hit in Lebanon, and they had to shut down everything for 2 weeks because it wasn't in the middle of the crisis. It was almost towards the end. But the numbers were high, so we had to close in for 2 weeks. And then she came to me after 2 weeks, and she told me, Elsa, I have this pain in my shoulder. It was her left shoulder. And I was like, okay, did you do anything unordinary? Like, did you change something with your lifestyle or something like that? She was telling me, no. All of a sudden, like, it started gradually, but it's very annoying me. It's really annoying me. And I was like, okay, let's test it out. Everything is normal. Everything was normal. She had tightness in her upper trap. She had tightness in her muscles. But every single test that I did was negative. And I was like, your shoulder is fine. So, but obviously you can't, like, you have to, when you're working with patients, you have to give them what they want in a way, right? You have to make them feel at ease. So
yeah, just sending her home and telling her your shoulder is fine, it's not going to work.
Exactly,
because
she's in pain. She came to me to fix the problem. So I need to find the problem, even though her shoulder is not the problem. So when she lied down, I was working on her shoulder, doing some mobilization, some massage techniques and stuff like that. I started asking her, I told her, do you have any problem with your stomach? I will tell you why I asked about the stomach. And she told me, like, I told her, do you have any reflux or something like that? She told me, yes, but it only like sometimes. And I was like, okay. Do you usually take medications without like, we have medications to protect the stomach before you take anti-inflammatory, let's say. Okay. And she told me, yeah, but I used to take the anti-inflammatory without anything. And I was like, do you think that relates to why your stomach would hurt? She told me, yeah, maybe, because I used to do it a lot.
So she had anti-inflammatory because of the...
She used to take a lot of anti-inflammatory for the pain before, but without taking any protection before them.
Oh, I didn't know that there is a protection for that.
Yeah. For some medications, you need to take a certain type of medication to protect the lining of the stomach before you take the medication itself. Or else it would hurt your stomach lining.
I understand. I just don't agree with it. But
yeah,
I understand. Yeah, I mean, not angry. I just don't agree with that.
Taking medications.
Taking medication that obviously it's very harmful, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, people sometimes don't have a.
Sometimes it's of course. Sometimes it's there's no other option, but many times there is. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so she was taking it, but without the protective medication.
For a really long time. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. I screened her anterior chain. She had a lot of tightness, especially around her abdominal area. I started palpating her pyloric sphincter, and that's when she felt a lot of pain. And she felt the same.
You were palpating what?
I was palpating around here, which is the last part of your stomach.
Okay.
The connection between your stomach and your intestine.
Mm-hmm.
And she felt great pain. And it mimicked the pain that she had in her shoulder. Once you touch, let's say, a patient and you're doing something and this mimics their pain, it's most probably the cause
what
of their pain.
What do you mean mimics?
Like she refelt the pain that you usually feel.
Also, by pressing to the stomach?
Yeah. Well, it was through a technique.
Okay,
it mimicked the pain that she had in her shoulder.
It started to pain in her shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because when you said mimic, I thought that she felt similar pain in that stomach, but it was right in the shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
And she had a lot of tightness. So we worked around on that. I opened up all of her facial. We have a fascia on our body. We'll talk about it later if you want. And then she came, and then she left. She came to me the next session. She told me, thank you, because I have no more pain. However, I felt a lot of pain in my lower abdominal area.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, did you do anything? She told me, no, nothing. I went a little bit further and she had a lot of tightness in that area. And we have something called the mesenteric system in the intestine, which connects the intestines, if you want. Okay, it's a facial system. She had a lot of tightness in that. It was over the years, and once I pressed on one part, she refelt the same pain that she usually feels. And she had lower back pain with that.
Oh, she had a lot of pain.
Yeah, I worked on that, and now she's fine.
Wow.
So yeah, sometimes you just have to really think outside the box. The physio maybe he would have, or she would have thought about going to the stomach and checking it out. But maybe they would have focused on that. In osteo, they go broader than that.
Okay, I have one question. Do you think that it can be also improved by healing the gut for her?
What do you mean?
If it would release the pain from the shoulder just by eating right food to let's say, detox the anti-inflammatory from the system.
You see, what you're talking about is something that we call an organic dysfunction, which means that this dysfunction is in the organ itself. You know, like when someone has a stomach ulcer, as an osteo, you can't do anything. But if they have reflux, the reflux is a mechanical problem. It's when the start of the stomach, there's a sphincter, right? This one opens and closes every single time you eat. If this one is weak for some reason...
It's a one-way street, right? It should only go in, no doubt.
So if it's allowing acid to go back up, that means it's a mechanical problem. So you work on that, and your problem would be gone. But if you had an ulcer, it would have been a different story. Now, if that patient had an... It's okay. You okay?
Yeah, sure.
If that patient had an ulcer, I wouldn't be able to do anything. She would have to find something else, like you said, to pay attention to her nutrition and all of that. But her problem was more mechanical, and which led to improvements, or else it wouldn't, and I would have referred her to...
So actually the fact, I'm just trying to connect what you're both talking about, the fact that she was having these drugs, the anti-inflammatory, without that medication that she was supposed to take before that, was not causing the mechanical problem?
It caused her... Well, you see, when an organ is tired, for whatever reason, its motility stops. Okay, so the visceral is another whole world.
Yeah,
like our organs and stuff like that. So when an organ loses, they have two types of movements. You have the motility and you have the mobility of the organ. The motility, it's basically the what happens in a really subtle way. You can't feel it. But the mobility, it's when it moves with every single breath.
So let's say when the intestine is pushing the food as it goes.
The motility of it is peristaltism.
Yeah, so that's motility.
That's motility.
Okay,
but when you take a deep breath and the descent of the diaphragm pushes down on the intestine, that's the mobility of them.
All right.
Same thing with the stomach. Okay? So if the motility is affected due to the NSAID, it's going to affect the mobility as well during breathing, let's say, or during movement or whatever. So when the mobility is affected, everything around it will be affected because the pressure between the organs will be affected. The movement of the stomach in relation to the diaphragm, in relation to the intestine, to the pancreas, to everything surrounded will be affected. So basically, the arterial system everything will be affected.
So to simplify it, when that kind of thing happens, it's like the organs are not where they're supposed to be, and they're like bouncing to each other, which is causing more tension
and tightness and pain.
So how much until it's not like from your experience, how much of these problems people have, because we were talking about this with Selena as well, right? When she was saying that even constipation can cause a lower back pain.
Oh, yeah.
And that's basically it, right? Because the full bowel or too full bladder will press against some tissues and again, stiffness, pain, and so on. How much of these common problems people have when they're like, we say it's from you sit too much, so lower back pain or this and this and shoulders, like how much from your experience can be?
A lot. Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah.
But a lot. I'm telling you.
So because a lot of it can be just because of the...
Not just. There's not, never there's one factor. Like A caused B. In the body, that never happens. There's A, B, C, D, E. Because there's our posture during the day, there's our genetics, there's our
mental state.
Oh yeah, and our habits, our past injuries, the surgeries, everything relates to everything. Like you could be constipated because yes, you do have a problem, let's say in your colon, but why do you have that problem in the colon? in the first place. So osteo goes back to asking why every single time. So you tell me you have shoulder pain. Okay. Why? Why is it tight here? Right? How did it begin? Why? You know, like you have to keep asking that why until you find the culprit, if you want.
And can people answer this?
Sometimes they can, if you ask the right questions, yeah.
So you also, of course it's about asking the right question, but that doesn't necessarily mean direct question, right? Because it can be very much around, because if I can imagine somebody will come like, my shoulder hurts, and you'll be like, well, why your shoulder hurts? You know, I mean, a lot of times you can actually say,
them, you can ask them, why do you think your shoulder is hurting you? Have you changed anything in your lifestyle recently? Have you direct the questions, like, do you drive a lot like this? Imagine driving every single day to your work and back, and stressing always this shoulder. And on top of that, you sleep on this shoulder. Let's say, all right.
I used to have, like, I wouldn't say it was pain, but just
discomfort.
This niggle, and it was more like a little burning sensation on my inside knee. Mm-hmm. And I knew it's from driving. You know, because always right foot, and you always do this little movement. I used to have it when I was driving a lot back home. And also when there were periods of times, for whatever reason, I was driving more in Dubai. And since I don't drive much anymore, I don't have it. It's just, you know, I'm not saying it's fixed, but it's not there. Yeah. And it took a long time for me to realize that it's connected.
Okay. Yeah. So the question is, how would you fix this problem, when he has to drive all the time?
Well, I would go back and check what made his knee in that position, I don't like to say weak, but more prone to pain. Mm-hmm. Because our body, you know, when you put it in a certain position for a really long time and over repetitive movement, if the body doesn't have the force needed, it's gonna crash, especially with buildup. Right?
So again, the factor that I was driving and I was in that position, that's only one factor. It should not necessarily hurt if everything is right.
Well, let's start there. You did it too much, too fast. You started all of a sudden to drive that much, right? Really fast. So the body wasn't equipped to handle that much pressure. Its resources were just starting to be cut down. Mm-hmm. You know, it doesn't have any more energy to provide the force necessary or the endurance necessary for you to be able to keep driving that much.
And in this particular case, as what Tima was asking, what would be my way of trying to fix it if I know I have to drive? Okay. You know, like, that's not an option not to drive for life reasons, but I still don't want to have the knee pain.
Well, we would start by assessing the knee, the hip, the lower back. We would start by assessing everything. Your posture, how are you driving, you know, while, like, your posture while driving. We'd start by assessing the myofascial restrictions, we call them, which means the muscle tightness, the facial tightness. And we would try to find the balance, again, between all of these structures. And, of course, with training to provide you with the endurance needed during these movements. So we would take it back a notch, but to be able to provide you with the endurance and force needed during that time. Mm-hmm. You know, there would be some training you need to do for sure, and we would be able to.
That's the tough part, huh? Mm-hmm. That's the tough part.
Yeah.
When you want people to do something.
Yeah. Well, it's for their own good. Yeah. It's always easier to take medications, but let's go with that concept. Why do you stick to taking pills for 10 days, and can't you stick to doing a certain type of movement for 10 days?
Well, because of the effort, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it comes down to sales at the end of the day. if you're really good at, honestly, if you're really good at letting your patient or your client buy the idea that you're trying to sell to them. So, yeah.
I have a question about if you can tell us something about the fascia.
Yeah.
And the difference between fascia release and muscle release.
Okay. So, fascia. It's a thin. It's not a thin, actually. It's a layer that really covers all of our body inside. It covers the joints, it covers the bones, it covers the organs, it covers the muscles. And everything that happens in the body, well, not everything that happens, but fascia plays a really important role in allowing mobility, if you want, right?
It connects everything, right?
It connects everything from toe to head, okay? And everything in between.
Yeah. And also deep down, like organs,
inside your organs, everything. So, according to Myers, he has a book,
Anatomy
Trains.
Yeah.
It's a really good book. I love it so far. It has even mechanical properties, and sometimes the brain, when it needs something done fast, well, it takes a while to stimulate the muscles and to react. It takes 5 to 7 seconds. But because it takes this time, the fascia would have reacted before even the muscle would have reacted. Mm-hmm. Right? So
5 to 7 seconds.
I think so. I'm not sure. I need to check that out.
I mean, like, in what kind of scenario? Because, like, if you touch something hot, you're not reacting 5 seconds. I hope you're not reacting 5 seconds because
no, but by the time you feel it and your brain sends the message down to the muscle that's gonna allow you to take your hand off, your fascia would have already tensed up.
Okay, I understand that the fascia is faster.
Yeah,
it's
faster. Yeah, about the timing, we can look that up.
Yeah, because like the neural signals, they are going very, very fast in the body.
You think, but the fascia has its own neural network, not neural, but it has its own awareness.
Yeah.
Where it's much faster than recruiting the nerves to feel. Because the sensory part is gonna have to send a message to the brain, and the brain would need to react to it. Mm-hmm. So that takes time. But the fascia would have already, by then, would have already contracted. Also, it contracts to everything you think about. Like, there's the emotional part to it as well. Because when you think about something that makes you angry, the cortisol level would increase in your system, which will make your fascia and your muscles more tensed up. So it's also affected by your emotional state. So yeah, releasing fascia. Some say that releasing fascia manually is not really true. Yeah, because fascia is really dense and it's hard. And others say no, that you can actually change the fascia. In my own personal experience, you can change everything you do, even a touch from someone. There's a lot of change in the body.
Yeah.
So
I wanted to ask if you were about to say something more about that time difference, like the muscles are way slower and fascia way faster. So in case of certain reaction, what is it causing?
Well, facial restrictions.
Okay, so because the fascia is reacting faster than the muscle, that causing a problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's not fixed.
Yeah. Well, I did some trigger point seminars or whatever, and we had the guy brought a bowl of, I don't know what that was, but it was supposed to, it was like this kind of a mass. Yeah. He mixed some powder with water. Okay. And when you were hitting it hard, it was resisting. Okay. But if you dipped your fingers slowly into it, it would sink. Yeah. Yeah, like moving sand. and he was explaining us kind of like function of fascia on all of this, and what he was always promoting, and he was also selling us the products, obviously, the rollers and these massage balls and all of that. And the main thing what I took from that seminar was that when you're working with fascia, you cannot go into pain at all.
No.
Because also when people use a roller, 99% of people using it wrong, because they just go there, they smash the hamstrings. The best is IT band, right?
Yeah.
Which is a fucking tendon, so thick. And I think Myers is talking about this in the book.
Yeah.
It's so thick that if you put a hook on it, you can hang your whole body by the tendon.
Yeah.
It's so strong. So rolling it makes no sense. What it does when you roll it, and especially through the pain, you will shut down the neurons that are responsible for reporting the pain, which means that, now suddenly, like I don't feel it stiff. Yeah, because you don't feel it at all.
Yeah.
Because you just shut down the pathway that is supposed to tell you that it's stiff.
Yeah.
Because it was just too much. Yeah, that's why it takes a while, 10 to 15 minutes to go through it. But if you want to actually affect fascia or whatever,
you have to be gentle.
Yeah, it has to be like he was always saying, like 2-5 pound of the pressure, and just gently moving. Because if you squeeze through it, you press the fascia against the muscle, and you're not moving the fascia because it's just pressed over it.
Yeah, that's another concept in osteo as well, is you have to be so smooth with your hand. So smooth. You cannot go, because they work by layers. First layer is the skin. You mobilize the skin. That's the first, because skin can be a limitation. And then the second layer, the third layer, the fourth layer, up until you reach where you want to work, right? On which part you want to work on. So manually you can affect the fascia if you go, like you said, very smoothly. But if you want to go deep, you would be targeting other areas, right? Personally, I would love to merge between physical and manual work, because you can break down fascia through movement, right? By moving.
And breathing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because that's what, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but the spasms people usually have around the shoulder blade a lot, like the knots, what they roll after.
Yeah.
They want to roll it through.
Yeah.
That's many times just a problem when you did a movement, even with training or outside of training, and you were not breathing correctly, so it just locked. Yeah. And that's the thing that always we are pushing. Yeah. Timea is obsessed with breathing all the time. Yeah. So,
well, she's really good. By the way, I'm taking her advice. I already feel so much better. Can't even tell you how much, honestly. Yeah.
It's not paid advertisement.
No, it's not. But I wanted to say something about how with the ball thing, the idea of how if you hit it hard, you see, fascia, it reinforces the places where it thinks needs reinforcement. Let me explain. So let's say you're on the computer all the time. How would you be? Your neck would be forward all the time, because you're watching the screen, and subconsciously you're leaning into your screen. So because it feels that there's a lot of pressure on your neck. To reinforce that, because you need more endurance, right? You need more force. It goes and it reinforces the back of your neck, which is a lot of patients, especially old people like 70s, 80s, if they can't move their neck, because there's a lot of tension and facial build up throughout the years to reinforce this part. And now, after 80 years, you want me to come and break it down? Like, that can't happen. That's why we say there is no bad posture, but there is a bad posture that is held in the same way for a long time. So it's okay if you sit like this. I can sit like this. But it's bad if I sit like this for 7 hours every day.
Or 30 years.
Yeah. Imagine 30 years in front of the computer like this. And then they come to physio, expect their therapist by 2 sessions to get rid. Honey, you've been in that position for 30 years. You know? So fascia builds up and it adapts to the need of the person. The more movement, the more lubrication there is, the more you're breaking down the fascia. And you can do that, of course, by breathing.
No, I didn't mean directly only breathing, but
Yeah, it helps.
right breathing as you're doing the training,
Yeah.
right? Because if you stiffen up and and move through that, that's what you're saying. It's the protective mechanism, right?
Yeah.
So if you cause some specific place of your muscle, whatever it is, wherever it is, to be very challenged,
Yeah.
and the muscle can't take it anymore, it will lock up.
Yeah, for sure.
The muscle will lock up, the fascia will lock up, because it's just trying to protect you. So if you have the notes on your shoulder blade, that's a protective mechanism.
Yeah.
So
Okay, this person was sitting like this for 30 years of his life. Do you think that it needs another 30 years to rebuild it?
To break it down, you mean?
I'd like to change it.
Yeah. I wouldn't know about the numbers, but what I can tell you is I don't think it would take him that much. It would definitely take him less if they move.
yeah, that my answer to this would be, if the only change they will do is that they change the posture, then yes, it will take the same time.
Not going into a worse posture, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, of course, like the right posture. Yeah. But if you will put training into it, which is just intensified effort of that tissues and muscles and so on, because just sitting collapsed is not really taxing in a meaning of effort, right? So if you put an effort into it to rebuild it, to make certain parts that needs to be stronger, so your body has an option to hold it in the right position, then it can be way less.
Yeah.
Probably not 2 sessions.
I
but
just ask it because if somebody is going to watch this and they will be upset, oh my God, now I have to work.
No, but let me tell you something. It doesn't need to be a constructive training. Just activity. Just move, guys. Move. Move in ways you're not used to move. You know, when we go to sleep and we wake up the next day, what do? We stretch in really weird positions. Look, everybody does it. Even animals, cats do it.
Yep.
Camel. Everybody does it. Why? Because when you sleep, your body builds up new facial cells to hold that position that you're sleeping in, and it can be annoying when you wake up the next morning. You need to move because you feel that something is trapping you. So when you wake up subconsciously, you just stretch it out to melt.
So when
They call
somebody
it fuzz.
So-
to melt that fuzz that has created between your
so
structures.
it can melt like this.
Yes, through movement. If it's acute, so if acute meaning if it's short term, but you can't expect it to melt if it's been built up for 30 years. Trust me, I've laid my hand on a lot of low backs in my life so far. And I can tell you, people who have a lot of dense areas, who have a lot of stiff lower back, have had those problems way more than people. Because you see, I'm 24 years old, okay? If you touch my lower back, it's going to be mobile. It's not going to be stiff. But if you go and touch someone who's 70 years old, right? And who doesn't train, who sits, you would find it really hard, really tough. This is facial buildup throughout the years.
if we blindfold you, can you tell age by how stiff the back is?
I can't tell the age, but I can tell the age of the tissue. Yes. I would definitely be able to tell you if it's a really long-term, short-term, or medium-term problem.
I will use you after to assess. Yeah.
Awesome.
We'll blindfold you, and if it's Tima or me.
No, I'm telling you because it's really intense how much you can really tell by just touching someone's body. Yeah.
I wanted to, go on.
That even a young body can feel like
Yeah.
old.
Yeah. If they sit all the time, I've seen young young people, especially after COVID with the online phase, because they spent a lot of time in-house. They didn't do any activity for like a year and a half, especially in their thoracic area and their upper back area. There was a lot of stiffness for 14, 15, 16
in the
year
clinics.
olds.
I started to have a lower back pain through first 2 months when you were not here that time, right? But in Dubai, like the lockdown.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't that intense. I mean, it was intense, but it wasn't that long. Yeah, it was only a couple of weeks of like really strict lockdown. And, I got PS4 and I started to play some games and my lower back started to hurt immediately. Also I was moving way, way less than before. So, it's very eye-opening, when people I was like, how can you be in a pain constantly, and after 1.5 hours, 5 hours. No, it depended, but you're getting out of certain position and you're like, oh shit.
But the most critical part was breathing for him because he was playing and he was like,
yeah, true, not breathing.
Of course, like it was very intense. I actually preferred when there was more of us and we had communication, because if you have to talk, you at least somehow breathe. Right? I want to ask you, because when you said that the stretching, so when of the fascia in the morning and all that, so when people will like that common thing when I was like, oh, I just slept bad. Is it because fascia, for whatever reason, from a previous day or whatever, the fascia was getting stiffer to support you in something?
It's a buildup. I gotta tell you, every single pain you ever feel, unless it is acute with it's traumatic, it's a buildup pain. Nobody just wakes up with, okay, you could wake up, but there would be a cause, a known cause for it. Yes, I slept bad, but you have to look at the entire block of 2 weeks prior, 2 weeks later of that, not 2 weeks later, but 2 weeks block from that point on. Did the stress increase in their life? Did they change something, because it's a build up coupled with that cherry on top, like this cup, right? If you keep on putting water in it, and then it takes just one tiny little extra water to let the water out. That's exactly with the body. Once the body cannot find a way to compensate, once it cannot find a way to reestablish that balance, that's when it cracks. Up until that point, we have amazing bodies that adapt in magnificent ways.
Yeah, like when you look at all extreme conditions, right? What certain individuals, but also big groups of people went through, from starvations to, overeating, but still, But it's true, because even the extremely obese people who can't even move on their own, they still live. It's crazy what body can take, or even work. What do you think about sleeping on hard or versus soft surfaces?
Well, if you sleep on a hard surface, if we want to analyze it, I don't have the studies for it, but if you want to analyze it, if you sleep on a hard surface, right, your body is going to adapt to that surface. So if you tell me that I've been sleeping like that ever since I was born, don't change it, because if you change it, you're going to feel pain. But if you tell me that you've spent 15 years of your life sleeping on a really soft mattress, and now you decided because you saw a video on YouTube that tells you sleeping on the floor is really good.
That's me.
Sleeping on the floor is really good for your back. I would tell you, man, don't do it. Because
I have this theory.
Yeah.
Or not theory, but the reasoning behind it is that we are supposed to wake up 3 to 5 centimeters taller than when we go to bed.
Do you know why?
Well, because of the decompression of the spine.
Okay.
Yeah. So because of the gravity. However, insignificant, we kind of feel it until something falls and breaks.
Yeah.
The gravity is also pushing our spines
of course.
together, right? Especially when you stand.
Yeah.
Or of course, if you lie all day, it's not probably going to happen. And when you are upright, the gravity is compressing your spine. So the spaces between vertebrae are getting closer and closer and closer. And then at night, you are supposed to decompress. You're supposed to decompress it. However, if you are on a very soft surface, right, because you are horizontal at that moment, the pressure of gravity should decompress the spine. But because you are on the soft mattress, it won't happen because the force that is supposed to decompress your spine is absorbed by the mattress.
Okay.
So, and I did it first as an experiment and as everything. And also, this was not the first time I was kind of like playing with it. And for whatever reason, I never had a problem to basically lie down and sleep anywhere, you know, or sit down, lean, and anywhere. I can sleep in a plane. I can sleep on the grass. It just doesn't matter. I mean, snow would probably not be the best, right? That's for a different reason. And I start to sleep, and all kind of like problems and tensions, also from my neck, it just disappeared. The other thing that I kind of implemented was that I'm not using a pillow or very thin pillow, that if I'm on the side, I'll just fold the pillow so it kind of like matches the distance from shoulder there, because I don't sink anywhere. I'm on the floor literally, and it just feels amazing. So I recommend it to people when they have some, stiffness, and always wake up with a stiff neck and whatever. Of course, that might not be the main cause, but I see the link. If you wake up in this state every morning that your neck hurts, it probably might be that it's because of how you sleep.
So you wanna be taller. That's why you're.
No, I just want the spine to decompress the way it should, And we can see it also with many people.
Yeah.
I used to also laugh at this with my two friends, where when we're doing yoke carries on the back, and you came to see your friend, they was like, "Oh, did you do a yoke?" And we could always tell because they just looked shorter.
Yeah.
It was tiny difference, couple of centimeters, but you can really see it. You can say,
Look, I don't know about that. I mean, obviously, as a therapist, I can't really recommend that based on a personal experience. Let's say I do and try it. I can't really recommend it to people. It needs to be evidence-based. It needs to be research, because maybe it worked for you, but maybe it not. I mean, maybe Timia hates you for it right now. I don't know. But I mean, I can't really recommend it to people. But I would tell them that whatever works for you, just do it. If you do it and you don't feel pain, you actually feel better, do it. Yeah. If you do it and makes you feel worse, don't do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying like this is the way for everybody. Yeah. I'm just saying that if this is the case and you're always waking up with a pain in your lower back, hip, neck, and it's always in the morning, and as you start moving it gets better, it might be the way you sleep or the mattress, or you even wake up at night on a stiff neck, and you find yourself in a weird position.
It might be, for sure.
So and of course try it out and see if it works.
But too hard of a mattress or too soft of a mattress, I don't think that they're really good. I think the in between would be the best.
Okay, but what that means?
Like, you don't sink into the mattress, but also it doesn't feel like a floor, It's the in between.
So the memory foam, or
but the memory foam will sink. That's the whole point, right? Like, it will remember your shape.
It will stay at the position
where it memorizes.
Yeah, but imagine that you're lying on the memory mattress and you have a pillow under your head.
It needs to be memory as well.
Yeah, because
I use a memory pillow.
You will like sink down, but the head will stay up with the pillow.
No, because it sinks with you.
Also with the pillow. All right.
But
I don't know. I don't know. I'm on the floor.
Guys,
so
try whatever sleeping position makes you comfortable and just go with it. But yeah. I wanted to tell you something. I forgot. I don't know what we were talking about. But I wanted to...
Say anything.
Oh, yeah. So... It also retains water, fascia. That's how it's
fascia, okay.
Yeah, it's mainly made of water. That's how it stays lubricant. But how does it retain water? It's not because I drank 2 liters of water. That's great. Drink, guys. You should drink. But it retains water through movement. So if you drink and you sit all day, you go around 10 times to the bathroom. But if you drink and you move all day, maybe you would hit the bathroom once or twice. Have you ever felt that? Have you ever felt like you drank a lot of water and today I'm using the restroom a lot for some reason? And then other days you would drink more, but you would use it less. It's connected to the amount of movement you do.
I never paid attention to it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to drink a lot.
Yeah.
But
you move a lot. So
I mean, when I move,
okay,
I go hard, but I wouldn't say like I move.
But I mean, not
lot.
just moving through training, moving throughout the entire day.
Yeah, no, because that I don't do.
Only training.
Because only when I move, that's training. Yeah, and some of course when I have to go somewhere, some days are more active, some less. But
try it out and let us know.
Okay,
try it out.
All right. So I'll chase the cat around.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great sport.
Yeah, and okay. What outside of movement and let's say hydration, is there anything else you can do for the fascia with like nutrition?
I'm not really a nutritionist, so I don't really know what could help for the fascia, but or for anything. I mean,
do you follow any diet? Or
any specific diet?
Yeah, like some or what is your nutrition like?
I eat everything. I love food, by the way. So I don't mind eating anything, but like it needs to be balanced. Like not too much protein compared to carbs and fat, not too much fat compared, like a balanced diet, a little bit of everything, even sugar and fat and oil, everything, but in moderation, That's
works for you.
Yeah, that's what works for me.
And you never tried any diets or something like I go
keto or something like that?
Yeah, or vegan or vegetarian or something. No, you like food too much, yeah?
I can't. I mean, I see them online and would want to try them, but I love food too much.
And you're not like counting calories or anything like that?
I tried it once, didn't work, and I was like...
What didn't work? The math didn't work?
Yeah, because you see, funny thing is, a couple of years ago, I wanted to have this certain type of body, right? So I went and I saw a nutritionist, right? And she gave me a meal plan and everything, and I started it. Everything was fine, and then I went 2 weeks later, and we did the body fat composition. And I had build-up fat instead of losing fat. I wanted to lose fat and maintain muscle or build muscle. And then she told me that it was very normal at first for you to build up fat and muscle. That's what we want. But then we will shred.
And how you tested it?
Through machines, through a body fat composition machine.
Yeah. Well, because the machine itself can be
but if it's on the same machine, it's okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can have... I'm not saying it doesn't work, but you have to, especially when it's in a matter of couple of percents, like increased from, I don't know, I'm just making this up, from 18 to 20 or from 15 to 17. Like I do a measurement, and this I tested it personally on one machine. I did it, drank not even a full cup of water, like 100 milliliters, and it changes the results. So
it's not very accurate.
Yeah.
But as long as it's on the same machine and you're doing it for a long time, I think maybe it could, because you're comparing it to the same results on the same machine.
It's definitely more accurate than not doing it that way.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to push through it. And then the diet just didn't work for me. you know, like I re-went and visited her. I didn't like the results. So when I don't like something, I binge eat. Or I'm an emotional eater. So I go and I eat and I don't care and whatever, and I just enjoy it and whatever. And then I would go back to her and I would have lost fat and gain muscle. And I'd be like, how is that even possible? So at the end, I was like, I don't care. I'm not going to spend my life on measurements, stupid measurements. I'm just going to look at my body. And if I like it, that's my result, right? So I use the visual instead of quantifiable measurements.
It's not like I don't believe in it, but for me, that's not important at all. Yeah. Because you can have the best, body on the paper, but you feel like shit.
Exactly.
What's the point, right?
Yeah.
Or because it might be that for some people, like probably Tima as well, right? Like you like food, you enjoy food, maybe you enjoy cooking, and for you just to be limited on a diet is such a stressor itself that's not going to help out, right? Which, I mean, until you're happy with it, that's okay. But then, there is a limit when people will use this theory, even though they don't really look the way they want, and they definitely are not on a healthy path.
Yeah.
But they'll just say they are happy just so they don't have to change anything. So it's also being very honest about it. And you're 24, so what, you were like 20 when you were doing this?
22.
Yeah, so you can, I mean, at least my perception is like at that time, you can do anything you want, you know?
Yeah. And I learned to look at my body and just love it the way it is. Everybody, I feel like everybody at this age, in these temporary times, would go through mental image problems, body image problems and stuff like that.
I think it's not the age. I mean, everybody is very,
Because on social media, it's like really bad. I mean, I'm telling you, like they put like as if this model has the perfect. No, she eats lettuce all day. Of course, she's gonna be this thin, right? But it doesn't mean that her body is beautiful. Besides, who put the standards for beauty?
Yeah,
right? You should put it for yourself. So I learned to love my body in every single phase that it goes through. So.
I want to ask you when in osteopathy it's so complex and you're looking at absolutely everything.
Yeah.
How come the nutrition is not involved in it?
It is.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but we don't we refer.
Okay.
We refer to nutritionists or dietitians, but that's definitely something we look into it. Even as physical therapists, we do that.
Okay, so but not in a meaning of recommending diets
or
anything. You just look at like, okay, this is.
You can't officially. You can't.
Yeah, you
have to be a nutritionist or something
because you don't like as much knowledge as you do know. One, you're not certified. Two, even though you think you know, but maybe you don't know. So it's best if you refer.
Yeah, but this is my kind of a little problem with the whole system because you can have somebody who has never went to any school, who is not certified in absolutely anything, but they just Google shit. They got maybe some super basic, trainer course. Then they learned everything themselves, or they had one weekend course. Okay, I know a guy like that. He has, I think, the only formal education he has is CrossFit level 1.
Okay.
Yeah, which is 2-day course, and however amazing it is, it's 2-day course.
Yeah.
Okay, and I would, because of his attitude, he got a spot in a gym, and he was coaching and meeting people and talking to them. He is very qualified in a lot of rehab stuff as well. He's very qualified in many aspects, from nutrition to maybe not directly manual therapy, but he's able to help people through way more than just CrossFit training, And then on the other side, you can have somebody who studied all of it formally, but is not really doing any good because of his attitude and because he's just, okay, I'll massage it out. And at the end, the formal educated guy is doing way less good to his clients than the guy who never did anything.
Yeah, but you know what's the difference? It's not the system, it's the person. The other person worked for it, wanted it. He put in the effort. The other guy who went into the education program didn't do anything.
Yeah, well, but that's my point.
Imagine if they had done something. But in this world, you have to be, one, certified. Two, you need a structure. Like, really good for that guy who did that. But maybe there's a lot of stuff that he's doing that could potentially hurt his clients without him knowing.
Well, but that still can happen with a guy who is educated.
But he's protected.
Exactly. That's one thing.
Okay, well, yeah, that's, yeah.
But there's also that guy who went to the education, he learned that as well. So he knew at some point of his life the risks. But the other guy, he may not even have had an idea that this is a possibility. Do you understand?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to compare it on an example
Like,
that you said that you cannot give a nutritional advice. Just a very simple example.
Yeah.
You cannot give a nutritional advice because you're not certified.
Exactly.
You refer to a nutritionist.
Yeah. Even though I have an idea, but
And the nutritionist will fuck it up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because
if she's not qualified. I mean, yeah. Because there's a lot
even
of people
qualified.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
Yeah,
even if she's
not formally, but yeah.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to the person. I have a lot of, like, in my class, a lot of people just went in physio because they failed med school or because they just didn't know what else to do, But at the end of the day, they're gonna be with patients. And God forbid, they might hurt them. But they had the education, You can't expect of just anyone to go and treat manually the patient. No, what are you doing? Even though if you know it, there's a lot of stuff that you also don't know. But the guys who went to education, at least they have an idea about it. And they would be scared because they have an idea about it. I have a lot of friends, trust me, who still text me and who are really good, but they're like not sure if they should do this technique or not. They would ask people who might know.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying, but Tima are definitely the same on her physio school. Like, how many % of your classmates you would actually trust to do something? Okay, that's an answer.
Yeah, it's a very small number.
Yeah.
To me, personally, honestly. And I used to say that when I was in school.
But most of them, that's true that like we follow each other, and some of them work in the field, some of them no. So I would come to those who are working.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, generally, yeah. And okay, so when you have somebody coming to you and you start to kind of like assess where you draw a line, like, oh, this is too far and
What do you mean?
I'm not qualified to do this, or I'm not confident, like where you set, and how you set the limit for yourself, because that's also very, do I help you with that?
No, it's okay. Well, we have something that we call red flags. We have yellow flags and we have red flags. Yellow flags are just pay extra attention. Red flags are contraindications, which means you need to draw a line, you need to refer. Let's say someone comes to you, they have severe headache, pain here, pain in their mid-back, and it's irradiating down their arm, and they have trouble breathing. This is a red flag. This patient could be having a heart attack in the clinic. You refer. You don't touch, you refer. Let's say someone comes into your clinic, a 75-year-old guy. First thing that you should do, you check his vital signs. Blood pressure, 160 over 100. This guy is probably could have a stroke. You refer them. We have a set of rules and testing that we should do That's the differential diagnosis that we must do with every single patient to avoid having them
like that's before you start or as you start?
Before
you even start
testing.
the treatment.
No, we're testing. We took the history. We ask them how they're feeling and stuff like that. We start testing them. If we find or suspect something that is off, we refer, we do not touch. Even if someone who comes in with a lot of tingling and numbness down there, they could have a bulging disc. We don't touch. We refer, go do an MRI, go talk to your physician. Let's see the status of your back and then come and let's see how we can work around it. But before we know what we're actually dealing with, we do not touch patients. Because I heard this story back in Lebanon.
And you do, but this is up to your judgment.
Of course.
So you have kind of checklist?
Yeah. Not a
I mean, in your head, you have kind of like of guidance rules where you go by. Mm-hmm. However, it's up to your judgment to say like, whoa, this is too far, I refer.
Yes.
Okay.
Like let's say a patient comes in with severe ankle pain and they tell you, I was playing basketball yesterday and I think I sprained my ankle. So you come in and you do testing. If you suspect a fracture, you refer directly to do an x-ray. There's a lot of swelling, a lot of bruising, a lot of redness. They can't walk 4 steps. They can't move it. Red flag. You refer directly.
He basically just missed the door. He's not supposed to come to you in the first place.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people who don't know who come in and they think it's a minor problem, but no, they would have, let's say, a subluxated hip or a fracture that they're not aware of. Maybe they have really high blood pressure they're not aware of. You know, maybe some people would be having a stroke and they just have no idea. They just think of it as a headache. No, go to the ER now. You know?
No, it reminded me.
Even with manipulations, especially neck manipulations, even before every neck manipulation, you have to test for any arterial insufficiency. There's testing to be done, and you should hear if there's any artery that is compressed in any way before you do the manipulation, or else you could kill the person under you. Sure. I know someone who went into coma, and now he can't hear with one ear because of a cervical manipulation.
Really?
Yeah. It's really delicate. It's not something easy, and only qualified people.
Do you know the therapist who did it?
Yes, I do.
And
no, who did it? Who did the manipulation? I don't, but I know the guy who got hurt.
It happened to, yeah. Because I mean, like that's some tough shit to deal with, and also as a therapist,
of course.
Yeah.
And I heard a story back in Lebanon when I was just studying in my bachelor's. There was a physio once, and that was really long time ago. A patient came to him.
What do you mean long time ago?
No, like 10 years ago. Maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Because when you say long time, it's like 50 years.
No. Like
all right,
10.
so 10.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But I mean, it was long. He came in and with back pain. Obviously, this therapist put him on a treatment table, put the infrared light thing, and he started massaging the guy. And the guy died under his hands. He had a heart attack and he died. I don't know how. I don't know why.
So he was having a heart attack.
And the physio missed it.
But he came with the lower back pain. Or
not lower back pain, yeah.
Back pain.
And he missed it. And the guy died. Imagine. This is how important our job is. Because not always it's mechanical.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of time because we look at it in a different way than physicians look at it, than osteopaths look at it. Like if you put here in this room, if you put a surgeon, a neurosurgeon, an orthopedic surgeon, an osteopath, a chiro, a physio, internal medicine, any specialty.
I wish I have all these people for podcast.
Yeah, with the same injury, each one of you will give you a different diagnosis and will give you a different treatment plan.
Well, that's the saying, right? Like if I have a hammer in my hand, everything looks like a nail.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you just use the tools.
Yes.
That you looking, and it's not even like your fault, right?
Yeah.
Your fault is if you stick to it too much.
True.
But you always looking through the scope of your own experience.
That's why it's very important to you to understand your scope of practice. That's why I told you that we refer to a nutritionist, even though I may have plenty of knowledge in that, but it's not my scope. Why would I try and take something that is just because I know? Okay, good for me, but no. Do what's best for your patient. This is where you draw a line between your ego and what needs to be done for the patient.
Yeah, that's why I was actually asking about this, because that's the main.
It's not about you. It's always about the patient, what the patient needs. It's not about how good you are.
So would you? Well, I mean, the obvious answer to this is yes, but you would rather be overly careful and refer to somebody else, even there's just a slight suspicion that this might not work for you, rather than try, or that depends on the case?
It depends. Give me an example.
Oh shit.
It depends.
Okay, so somebody's coming. I had this case, okay? Guy, and this is not even like a question, this is like a fucking puzzle, because this guy was a different level. So he came to me, and we actually met outside of the gym.
Okay.
And because of a good referrals, he asked for my number. He came to the gym. He wants to train. And he came to me, and he's like, well, yeah, I have to tell you, like, I have sciatica.
Okay.
Okay. I would also try to mimic his accent, but that's let's not. So he has a sciatica problem. I was like, okay, well, like okay, so how long is this going for? And we just a chat before you start training, because some people think it's a nerve compression, but it's actually coming from glute and piriformis that are pressing on the nerve and not the herniation itself. And he was like, well, I have this pain, and I Googled it, and it's sciatica.
I love it when people Google
this. Yeah, that's brilliant, yeah. And then I was like, okay, so like, can you like go and check it out? And he's like, I don't trust doctors. I don't want to go. This is sciatica. It's going to my leg. And, and I had the back problems before. And I, when I do this and this and this, and he was showing all the movements when it hurts. It's a lot of movements, Also, his walking was like his toes were, this out. Is very much out.
Whenever he moves his back, his pain starts?
Whenever he moves, his pain starts.
Okay, that's not only from the piriformis.
Well, however, he didn't want to go to check it out.
Okay.
He didn't want to do
anything about it.
Do anything. He just wanted to train. Okay.
People like that.
After 2 years, he actually went for MRI.
Okay.
After 2 years, and they found nothing.
Okay.
But for that 2 years, he was always telling me, I did the MRI in past, but they probably fucked it up because it didn't show anything, and it's sciatica, and it's sciatica, and it's sciatica. When we did certain movements and certain very careful activations, because he was a pussy, in a meaning he wasn't able to go to any tiny discomfort in training.
Okay.
Even the discomfort wasn't causing him
pain.
like pain.
Yeah.
It was just a cardio discomfort, whatever discomfort. He just wasn't able to push. So over time, obviously, I started to really think that also his pain might not really be as bad as he's saying, right? Yeah. And so what would you do in this case?
As a physio or as you?
Well, if somebody comes to you, they don't want to go to MRI, they are claiming they know the diagnosis.
I would test. And assess. If I see that, no, this guy really, because we have specific testing for specific cases. And some testing, let's say for the slump test and SLR, they're really sensitive and specific for a disc bulge. So if I do these testing and they're positive, then most probably he has something in his back, and I do refer him, I do not touch him. That does not mean that I'm a bad therapist. It just means that I really care and put the patient's interest above my ego, let's say, even if the patient doesn't want to, I tell them, well, find someone else to treat you, because as important as to help people, you have to really draw a line, because if, God forbids, something happens, and even if it's not your fault, the patient will blame you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to save yourself in any case, especially with personal trainers who have clients with pain. They need to be really careful, really, really careful. I have someone who, she's a personal trainer, and she wanted to take my advice because she knows that I'm a physio. And she told me that she has this client. He has really back pain. He has a really bad back pain. He's irradiating down his legs. And I told her, refer him to a physio or a physician, hopefully a doctor. Yani. And she told me he doesn't want to. She sent me his MRI report. He had 2 bulging discs. And I'm like, do not touch him. If she was a physio and a trainer, I would have go for it. But if she's a trainer who doesn't know how to deal with these cases, he's going to blame her. I told her, if he's really stubborn and he really wants you and you don't want to refer him, let him sign on a paper that anything that happens is not your fault. It's entirely upon his responsibility.
Well, I mean, especially here in Dubai, that's a very
because
normal.
They just need
that's a very normal thing you need to sign when joining the gym anyway. So
but I told her to do another one for her specifically, not for the gym that she works in, but for her as a person. Yeah. Because you never know. You never know.
But this is a discussion we had here last week with Joe, that many times, and this is actually coming from studies, so and long year observation that bulging disc doesn't equal pain, and pain doesn't equal bulging disc.
Your imaging is not you.
Yeah.
Basically, I can go and have an MRI right now that says that I have 5 bulging discs, but I'm in no pain. Why should I treat myself? I can prevent it, yes, which is very important, but I don't need to go and look for it.
Yeah.
So even patients with pain, they can come to me with a bulging disc on their MRI, but their symptoms clinically don't match. So maybe their symptoms are not related to the...
You mean they have bulging disc on the screening?
Yeah.
They are in pain.
But their pain is not correlated.
It's not related. It's not related.
Besides the disc, if it's not, if there's no inflammation around it that is not compressing the nerve, it's not going to be painful. And you don't need to go and just dig it in.
Also depends where it's bulging, right?
Exactly.
Because you can still have a disc bulging forward.
And sometimes you can do a test, it's negative, but the patient really has severe symptoms. I have this case once. She was my patient. We're really, really good friends. She came to me, she's a pole dancer, by the way. So she's a lot, she works a lot.
Strong.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She had a lot of pain here in this area that's irradiated. I did all of the shoulder and neck tests. Nothing. Negative. Nothing. But she kept coming back with pain. So I asked my boss at the time, and he told me, let her do an MRI for her cervical spine. I was like, okay. She had a severe bulging disc, C5, C6, that is almost gonna hit the spinal cord. She had to go into an emergency surgery. And the physician told her that there was no way that you could have find it out clinically, because your body has adapted to that throughout the years, because apparently she had it from a really long time.
Also, it was like
it was masked. It was masked
for a long time.
I did all the testing. Trust me, all the testing. It was negative. After this case, I was like, Elsa, you suck. You are a really bad therapist. You should not be working. You almost paralyzed this poor girl. But apparently it was not my fault. The body had adapted too much that it just didn't feel. And her symptoms were not correlating with her imaging at all. And now she pole dances again. She had to lay off for a year, but now she pole dance because we continued with physio after she had done the surgery. And now, she's amazing.
You reminded me one guy I knew kind of, not too much, but I knew about his case a lot, because he was supposed to be my classmate, and then he didn't come because he broke his neck.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but he broke his neck doing parkour. and he was, basic routine of falling from 6 meters. So like, what do you expect, right? So he somehow landed wrongly, and instead of roll forward, he just basically dug a hole into the grass with his head. And he was like, oh shit, like impact was hurting and everything, but he was okay.
Okay.
He was moving and everything. Okay. And then he went for a screening, and he basically made out of, not sure which one, C3 or C4, he made 2 pieces of it. It basically 100% separated.
Oh my God.
It was completely cracked, but because the way it happened, it didn't touch any nerve or anything.
Oh, wow.
Like he was just like, I don't know how many millimeters from being fully paralyzed.
Oh my God.
But the vertebra just split. Yeah. I don't know if it was like anterior posterior parts or like left right.
Yeah, I think
not sure
left,
about
right,
that.
Yeah.
But it's like just super
miracle.
Lucky. Yeah. And then he healed it. He didn't go that
year. He didn't do anything.
Well,
he did surgery. He shouldn't do surgery. No, he didn't do surgery.
I think they left it like to heal.
Oh wow!
Like he was like.
Oh, but like they immobilized him. Yeah,
of course. They didn't send him home, right? Yeah. But like it was just that. And I also know about one case from one CrossFitter. She was in a car accident, and like a truck hit her car, so pretty serious. And she was for couple of weeks. Yeah. She had some arm pain as well because it was car accident, so it wasn't the only injury there. But eventually, as she was recovering, she was still like having all the headache. She was already doing back squats again. And then
she felt the pain.
They found out that she also broke some vertebra in her neck, but they didn't find out about it at the beginning. And when they found out about it, it was just like they called her like, stop doing whatever you do, find the nearest hospital and go, because this is way more serious. And there was also the whole story about she was training for CrossFit Games that time, and she was supposed to compete, but obviously she wasn't competing because of that. But she was involved in the staff there, and they couldn't reach her to tell her that, hey, like, stop whatever you do and go to the hospital. And they told her, like, there is many stories like this from the CrossFit side, and also powerlifting, weightlifting for sure. If you do not, if you wouldn't have the physical capacities and the musculature you have, you are probably either dead or paralyzed. Yeah, true. And also, like, it was just because she was very strong. Yeah. So the neck protected her. Yeah. What is your training like? Like you personally, how do you train? What's your training regime?
I basically do functional training, basic gym, functional training. I like body weight training.
Okay, what does it mean, functional, for you? I mean, I kind of know what it means generally.
Yeah, you know, like deadlifts, squats, push-ups, pull-ups, pushing, pulling, stuff like that.
And you do more like sets and reps?
Yeah. I do like supersets a lot.
Supersets?
I love supersets because I feel like I do strength-based supersetted with endurance-based. Mostly. So let's say, but with the same muscle group. So let's say I want to...
That's CrossFit, actually.
Yeah?
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, it's just...
It's similar.
You vary it. Yeah. You do something with weight, then you do something with body weight, then you do some cardio into it, you mix match it.
Yeah, something like that. I just do cardio at the end. I do skipping. Okay. I love skipping, so I just leave it. I leave it till the end. But stuff like that. I work with the tempo a lot.
So can you just tell me an example? One example of...
Right now I'm doing upper and lower, just upper body and lower body, because now I have a messed up shoulder. I have messed up left shoulder.
By the way,
I'm working on that.
Sorry to interrupt. Like, can you treat yourself as an osteo? Can you diagnose it, or you wouldn't like believe that?
You can have an idea, but you can't fully hit a diagnosis. But yeah, you can have an idea what it could be, since you can like test it out. But you would just ask your fellow colleague or something to just work on you. It's okay.
Yeah, so you have shoulder.
So yeah, I have shoulder. I had a lot of tightness in my packs and stuff. So now I'm working a lot on my depressors. I'm activating my serratus because I have a messed up scapula as well, shoulder blade. So, which putting a lot of tension on all this part. I had like heart issues because of it. So I'm working a lot on depressing the back and really getting that endurance and strength going in it. So I'm only doing, as a chest workout, only doing push-ups. And I'm even doing it on the knees. But I'm doing it endurance based, so more reps.
So can you just tell me like one example of a workout? Any random workout you did in past week?
Today I did a single cable back rows. I did serratus push up on knees, single leg lat pull down, single arm lat pull down.
If you can do single leg lat pull down, I want to see that.
Lateral raises. I did bent over open row.
And in what kind of like rep scheme would this be?
You mean how
like sets, reps?
Yeah. 3 sets of 15.
Okay.
Mainly I did 3 sets of 10 for the bent over open row because I had heavier weight. Push up 3 sets of 15. Mainly 3 sets of 15 in my entire workout.
So kind of bodybuilding.
More
bodybuilding style.
Yeah. Because I want to shape. You know, it's summer coming, and so
of course,
I want to shape. And then I did some skipping.
So also your training is seasonal, yeah.
Yeah, you can say that.
In Dubai, super hard.
Yeah, because it's summer all day, all year long.
All year.
Yeah.
And also all day, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to share or talk about?
I don't have anything in mind. So if you have...
Well, we don't have to say everything now, and you can come like next time as well.
I'm down, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Cool. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.